Who is this guy? For those of you who don't know me, I'm someone who spent 30 plus years as a C-suite executive in a dozen different industries in Southeast Asia and here in Australia. Before that, I used to lecture on business at uni, and before that, I was a high school teacher, and I've been running my own business coaching, consulting, and mentoring business for the last 12 years, and I've helped over 160 businesses get better in that time. I say all that and have that slide up, not to tell you how great I am, but just to let you know you're in good hands, and I've been round the block just a couple of times. Now, most people go, my God, it's nearly the end of September. That's all right. We've got 90 days left. In fact, that number's wrong now. We've got less than 99 business days left before the end of the year. If you don't have a slight sense of panic about how things are going in your business when you're looking down the barrel of starting October next week, then you should have. You should spend this next couple of days or this weekend literally thinking about some of the questions I'm going to be asking ahead, like, how are you tracking for the year to date? How are you tracking? Now, whether you run a calendar year or a financial year obviously will affect this, but just look at this from a calendar year. Most small businesses, including myself, prefer to run on a calendar year because that seems logical. So how are you tracking? Are you on target with your sales, with your customers, with your clients? Or maybe you're a little bit behind, or maybe you're a lot behind, or maybe you're one of those people who actually don't even have a target for this year with what they're doing. If you don't have a target, you need to have one. But if you do have one, what was your revenue goal for the year? Was it the same as last year? Did you just increase it by expected inflation, 5.5%? Did you maybe double last year and decide to have a really good go at it this year? Or maybe you're not so concerned about revenue or income, but you're more focused on the impact you're having in your particular marketplace. But how are you going towards your revenue goal? Are you working the way you wanted to work this year? Are you in the business hands-on every single day? In other words, are you more of an employee than a boss? Are you self-employed rather than a business owner? Are you working with clients directly in person? Are you working with them remotely? Or are you doing a hybrid? But are you working the way you want to work with the people that are your customers? If you're not, identify why and try and figure out how to change it. And who did you want to reach? You want to reach wide, you want to shotgun it and reach a whole heap of people with a message, a broad message, or did you want to go deep with a select few? Maybe you just wanted to reactivate past clients and work with them, or maybe you would pivot in your business and you wanted to work with someone entirely different. There is a guy that I know who was a productivity coach and one absolutely fantastic at it, and he pivoted in March this year to talking about copywriting. He burnt the bridges. He literally got rid of all his old email lists and started afresh, and he's doing very well. But maybe you want to move your business somewhere else. And here's the thing. What's your ultimate why? Why are you doing the things you do? We all have two faces. We have a public face and we have a private face. Now, private faces normally are based around things like, I'm good at what I do, I enjoy doing it, but more importantly, I want to give my family or my loved ones as good a lifestyle as possible. But if I go to any one of you and say, hey, Nicole, you ought to work with me because I want to give my family a good lifestyle, you'll probably say, good luck, move on. So we need to have a public face which is congruent with our private values and our needs. And that, for my case, that is, I'm sick and tired of seeing business owners go to the wall when really it's just for a lack of some things they didn't know. But what's your ultimate why? Why do you do what you do? Is it financial freedom? Is it to have more time with the people you love? Is it to make a dent in the universe? Or is it something you feel like you've got something to prove? Is someone really pissed you off and you're going to prove them wrong? But you need to understand what your why is. The other thing is you need to also think about what's holding you back. Do you have a lack of knowledge? Are you scared of failing? Are you suffering from imposter syndrome? Are you like that person standing at the intersection of 7 roads and you can see down each one just far enough to see something interesting, but you don't know which one to go to, so you get locked in place and you don't move because you've got too many options? Or maybe there's been too much change too fast. Maybe you've jumped onto the roller coaster and you got stuck into chat GPT and AI, and all of a sudden you're just totally overwhelmed with what's going on. Or as most common, maybe you just don't have a clear plan. You were just holding on and doing what you've always done and hoping for a different outcome. Here's the good news. You've still got time. Doesn't matter, it's nearly October. You've still got time to make a very positive and large change in the way your business is going. If it's going the way you want it to, fantastic, keep on. But for most of us, we're probably this time of year going, it just hasn't happened this year the way I wanted it to. But you have to take action. In fact, you've got to take a lot of action if you're going to make things change for the positive by the end of the year. So step one is write out your dream finish to the year. And by a dream finish, write out how much money do you want to have generated over the year? How many clients have you helped? How many nice presents have you done? Maybe how many dinners you've had with date nights, etc. But write out your dream finish the year. What would make this year a great year, even if it's not so far? All right. Break it down into weekly steps. So take it from December 31st and break it back into weeks and go, what can I do each week to bring myself closer to achieving that dream finish? And then, of course, you break the weekly steps down into daily steps. I teach a thing called the 5x5, which is where at 5 o'clock at night, you do a brain dump and you choose 5 things you'll have done by 5 o'clock the following night, and you repeat the process. And that does 2 things. One is it tells your subconscious you have a plan for tomorrow, so you sleep better. But at the end of the following day, you get a sense of accomplishment because you can put a line through 5 things. The trick is not to make them 5 huge things, but also make them a mix of small things and medium-sized things you can achieve in one day. And of course, the key thing is to get started. It's easy to get what you want when you know what it is that you want. So write that dream finish. Step 2, review your product and your service. Is what you're going to the market with still relevant to the market? Are you still taking away a pain from people, or are you giving them a path to find some pleasure? Are you differentiated, or are you just competing on price? If you're a commodity and you're just competing on price, you need to find something in your business, in your product, your service, which you can push as being unique or differentiated from other people. It's not a question of being 100% unique, but you've got to stand out from the other guys, because if you don't, the only way you can go into business is compete on price, and that's a race to the bottom. Can your product or service be improved? Can you add more value to it? Can you add something else to people there? Can you retarget it? Maybe your demographics changed. I know people who were shit hot marketers on Facebook who are now having a hard time. Why? Because they haven't realized the demographics shifted. Facebook is really for 35 years and above now, but it used to be for the youngies. The youngies are on TikTok. So if your product's aimed at the young ones, you need to be on Instagram and playing with TikTok. So maybe you've got to retarget. Maybe you've got to update it. Maybe you've created a great product, but you haven't really paid much attention to it for the last 18 months or 2 years, and maybe it needs to be refreshed. Maybe the pricing's wrong. Maybe you can increase your prices by 10%, because most small business people, we underprice our stuff. Or maybe it has to be a lower price because there is some tech out there, which is meaning what you're doing is less hard for people to do. Can you add something next to it? The idea is look at those questions and look at your product or service and create a plan to do one or more of the above. Step 3, are you invisible in your market? We all exist in a million channel world. If people don't know who you are and where to find you, you're effectively invisible. If you're invisible, you don't get business. So how can you improve your visibility? Can you improve your social media? Are you working on the right one? I spend a lot of time on Instagram and I spend a lot of time on LinkedIn because they serve my markets the best. But there's no sense being, as I said, on Facebook if you're aiming at 22-year-olds, because it's the wrong demographic. Just like it's wrong to be talking about cruises and retirement on TikTok because that's the wrong demographic. So have you matched your social media to your right particular clientele? Can you improve your advertising? Maybe you're not running ads, but if you're running ads, can you improve them? Can you make sure they work well? Jay's particularly good with using social media ads to drive people to events. And Facebook ads are still the most granular things in the world, but maybe you can improve your advertising. And your promotions. What are you doing with your promotions? Are you just deciding, oh, I'll run a promotion next week? Or are you planning them properly and giving yourselves 2 to 3 weeks to actually build up and run a promotion and then look at the end of it? Maybe you need to decide on a promotion now to run at the end of October, and then one for the middle of November and one for early December, and then work back from those. What can you do? What can you get to people with? I'll be sharing with the group shortly a year-end planning thing, which I'll run, which will be a 2-day session. I'll run it cheap, but what it'll do is it'll give you a workable business plan for next financial year. And I've run these every year. I remember the good old days when I used to run them. Sydney Melbourne and Brisbane, 30 people in a room, $3,000 a head. It was a fantastic money maker. Now that don't work anymore because the market's changed, sadly. All right. But think about that. Decide on a promotion, promote it for 2 weeks, then run it, and then do the next one. And then create a plan to do some or all of the above. Number 4, what sources of friction have you got that are holding you back or getting you in the way? Maybe there's a bit of software you know would help you, or an app that would help you, but you just don't know how to use it. Maybe you've got the fantastic CRM at BCW, but you haven't taken the time to go through those first 9 videos that show you how to set it up. So you've got this fantastic tool, you know you should be using it, you don't know how to use it, so it's a source of frustration. Maybe you've got to carve out some time and at least do those first 9 particular videos on it. But the things that are standing in your way, you need to look at it from a business continuity point of view, which is you've identified a problem. Now you have to ask yourself, can I remove the problem? Can I reduce its impact on my business? Or can I just put up with it and then get back on my feet afterwards? If there's any major issues there, what will you do about it? Is it a lack of money? Is it a lack of people? Is it a lack of clients? What can you do to fix those problems? And again, create a plan to make it happen. Step 5, clearly set your how much is enough number. This is something I do with all my clients 3 or 4 times a year. We run through a spectrum of how much is enough. How much is enough money, enough date nights, enough weeks holiday, enough cars in the garage, enough toys, enough concerts gone to. Your how much is enough number, you need to understand that, because that's not only a way for you to keep score, but it's a way for you to actually stay motivated, to understand what you need to feel satisfied. We don't all need to be doing a 7-figure business, all right? In fact, a lifestyle business by definition is turning over 350 grand a year. Even that is a hell of a lot of money for a lot of people. But for most of us, if we were to get between 100 and 200 grand a year turnover, we'd be pretty happy. But how much is enough number for you? Will you achieve it by the end of the year? Maybe. Chances are you won't, but at least you'll have a clear goal to be working towards and then hammer next year. And also think about this. You probably need to understand your number is a lot less than you think it would be for most people. I ran a face-to-face thing last year in Blacktown. It was a training thing. I asked people this question. A guy said, I want $1 million. And I said, so you just want to own a house in Blacktown, is that right? So he was a bit crushed by that. They asked me how much was enough. And I said, I want to pay $2 million a year in tax. So work it through, decide how much is enough for each of you. Step 6, start working your sphere of influence, your network, people like here. Who can you partner with? Who services the same customers or clients that you do, but is not a direct competitor? So how can you feed one another's networks? Can you provide a lead magnet or a free book like Jay's just done to Karen's clients, and Karen's clients then have something they can share with Dr. Chris? Is there some way you can cross promote and build one and use one another's networks to get more visibility? Who can act as an introducer? Who do you know as a strategic introducer who might know someone you want to get in touch with? All right. I'm doing some work with a company called Payline at the moment, and I'm working with people who can introduce us because it's a startup who can actually provide some startup funds. All right. Who do you know who's a likely client? Can you reactivate some of your previous clients? Who have you worked with 12 months ago or 6 months ago or 18 or 3 years ago who you figure will probably need help? Can you get in touch with? All right. And who do you have access to from your network that you can ask for help? If you're not working your network, if you're not working your sphere of influence, you're crazy. Step 7, give up one Netflix show a week. Block off a non-negotiable 60-minute block every second day to work on your year-end plan. Use this time wisely. Don't get sucked into looking at Twitter or X, whatever it's called, or Instagram or something. Give yourself a 60-minute block every second day to do nothing but focus on improving your results between now and the end of the year. This is your time to take back control of your time, all right? If you don't have 60 minutes, think about this. Can you get up 30 minutes earlier? Can you sacrifice one episode of Succession on Netflix? Can you reduce your Instagram time by 20 minutes a day? If you want to finish the year strongly, if it's actually a priority for you rather than you throwing up your hands and giving up on things, then treat it the way it should be and find that extra time so you can work on things. So to wrap up, Know what you want, decide a target, create a goal, identify and remove or reduce sources of friction that are stopping you moving forward. Understand how much is enough in terms of dollars, time with the people you care about. Break down this goal into weekly and then daily steps. Use the 5x5, all right? Review your service and product offering to make sure it is still relevant, you're still aiming it at the right people, and the pricing is right. Reach out to your network to try and find people that you aren't introduced to at the moment. Partner with people that are in your network who share the same clients but aren't competitors to you. Try and reactivate your past clients. Plan at least one promotion a month for October, November, and December. Sacrifice some of your downtime and commit to taking action.